deported, most of them. They were taken away in handcuffs. They were put into detention centres. They were ripped away from their families. They couldn't even get their belongings. We don't believe actually that Byron paid them any holiday pay that was owed to them, or any wages, or any sick pay, or any redundancy that was owed to them. Byron haven't said anything about that at all. We have got some statements we want to read out from some of the witnesses and some of the workers. There's the words of a chef who was working in one of the Byron restaurants, who was taken away in the most brutal way and has now been deported. This is what he said about what Byron did to him.
Made me feel like I have never felt before. My heart was completely broken about everything. You know that. They destroyed my family. We were a family that they took some piece of me, you know? I've been crying lots and lots, thinking about them. I was like, oh my God, look after them. I can't do anything but pray. It was really horrible.
The back of house team were told that they had a meeting at 9:30 a.m. on the Monday morning, and the front of house team were at 3:30. This wasn't abnormal, and nobody thought anything of it. I arrived for work at 10:30 a.m. to open the restaurant as a waiter. I was welcomed by about 15 immigration officers talking to my colleagues. They actually were treated well, although I did hear one say, "I can't wait for the waiters to come in." My best friend was one of the ones he was referring to, so I can pounce on them.
Shameful, right?
This is an immigration officer saying he couldn't wait to pounce on a waiter. This absolutely disgusted me, as if he wasn't a person. I realized that what was actually happening after about 10 minutes of being there, and I got really upset, and I told the area manager that the area manager told me to start opening the restaurant. I tried, but was having, I think, a mild panic attack, as was histrionically crying by this point, sad about what was happening to my friends who were being spoken to by immigration, and worried about my best friend, who luckily wasn't there. Two of the guys who were arrested were paid minimum wage. The other two were a bit more than that, as were higher up and been there longer, one of which had been employed for over 2 years by Byron, and I had worked with him that whole time. I was so appalled that the area manager, directors, and all those at head office would do this to these guys, all to avoid a fine because they didn't have the proper procedure in place to check their ID in the first place. They were fed to the lions.
Shame on Byron! Shame on Byron! Shame on Byron! Shame on Byron!
How about a chant of, "Take your burgers, give us our brothers"? Take your burgers!
Give us our brothers!
Take your burgers!
Give us our brothers!
Have solidarity now. We need to stick together because we've seen, like in the last month, intolerance and racism rising everywhere. So I've lived in London now for 30 odd years, and I'm very, very proud to be in a multicultural society. To show solidarity, to show communion with these people, because I think we're going to have an escalation in deportations and racism in the future with Brexit. We need to unite to support the people here who are being persecuted. So everybody here, we need to make our voice felt. We need to stick together. We need everyone to show solidarity, otherwise we're fragmented. And I think this is what the Conservative Party is doing at the moment. They're picking off people individually, because we've seen like so much fragmentation in the Labour Party as well. So we need to stick behind Jeremy Corbyn as well. We need to show that we will not tolerate these abuses of Byron. I mean, there's a way of communicating. To communicate, you have to be honest and to be kind at the same time. And I don't think Byron have been either of those things. I don't think they've been honest or kind. So.
Hi, I'm just here to bring solidarity. As a waitress, I know the rubbish conditions that can often be found in a lot of these restaurants. I'm just here to bring solidarity, to say what Byron has done is not okay. I don't care about the excuses. They lured people to a meeting in order to deport them without having the chance to say goodbye to their families, their friends, without a chance to collect their belongings. This big company has taken horrific actions in order to insulate itself from having a fine. It's not okay to throw people away like they're bits of furniture that you're not using anymore. These people, they made money off these people for years, and now they're just throwing them away. And I want to say that we in the hotel workers branch won't stand for it, and I work with people from all over the world in the current profession that I'm in, and these people enrich the job that I do. They ensure that we can do our job better. We have a better cultural understanding, we have better language skills because of these people coming here and helping us. And this won't stand, Byron, and you will not get away with it.
Stop deportation! No border, no nation! 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 Stop deportation! Do you like your burger? We have deportation! How do you like your burger? We have deportation! How do you like your burger? We have deportation! Nilofer, who's part of the hotel workers branch, and she's a waitress!
I'm a waitress. I'm basically part of the Unite Hotel Workers branch, and every day I see this kind of like super exploitation of migrant workers. In the place I worked at, they did the same thing. They rounded up loads of workers, many kitchen staff, and they basically handed them into the police. Many were arrested, put into detention centres. But I'm going to read out a statement from someone who used to work at Byron and left in disgust. Okay. I was appalled by the news concerning Byron Hamburger's immigration raid last week. Having worked there for a year and a half, I met many international members of staff that worked hard, 50 to 70 hours a week, were loyal to the company and were overall really nice people. What Byron did is outrageous and shameful, but it didn't surprise me. What follows is an account of another exploitative and unethical situation that led to my resignation last year, and that makes my blood boil whenever I think about it, especially now. Hire people with as little rights as possible, exploit them as hard as you can, then deport them in the crudest manner possible. On the 6th of October 2015, Byron decided to embark on the charitable campaign One Feeds Two, where they sold every burger for 25 pence to everyone that became a member of the Byron Burger Club. They claimed that all earnings would go to their charity, whose raison d'etre is to support children in some of the poorest countries in the world by providing a nutritious school meal so they won't go hungry. How so fucking nice of you, Byron. Thousands and thousands of people turned outside Byron restaurant throughout the UK that day. The queuing extended several blocks from early hours in the morning till way past midnight. What this meant for the working staff, 13 hours or more, shifts of exhausting non-stop work, not being able to have lunch or a break in all the duration of the shift, being yelled at by my manager to the point of being reduced to tears and not receiving any tips or any other form of retribution during the whole day, despite having worked as hard as any other day as a Byron employee. People paying for their meals with 50p coins and not leaving anything for us, when our sweat, stress, and in my case, tears were visible for all to see. I never felt so humiliated in my life.
To say that hospitality in the UK is the most ununionised sector in the country. It's just 3.6% organised. As union organisers, when we try and organise, we are met with armed police at one point outside a hotel staff entrance. Police were called on us. When our members try and stand up for themselves, like we had Robert from Hungary, who was a waiter at the Me Hotel just down the road in Aldwych. He was a 0 hours waiter and he was fighting for his tips, and he got sacked because he made a union leaflet. It's like a war out there. Honestly, you try and organise, and if you're on 0 hours, you'll find you won't get work. Suddenly you're taken off the rota. Suddenly there happens to be no work for you. you know? So the amount of solidarity that is needed with an industry, with workers in an industry that is 77% migrant workers, with, you know, millions of workers whose English is not the first language. And it's a real struggle to raise grievances, to organise, to talk to your fellow workers when you've got managers looking over your shoulder and trying to do you in, you know? So it's so important that everybody sticks together, papers or no papers, wherever you're from. When people are working side by side and being exploited side by side, they really have to come together and unionise. When they say casualise, we say unionise! When they say casualise, we say unionise!
Speak to the people who are saying, but it's the law. Should employers do that because it's the law? These people shouldn't be employed. It's quite simple, really. The law doesn't say rally your workers in a building under a fake training and lock the doors and call immigration enforcement. The law doesn't actually say that. So that's a really simple, easy answer next time someone says, isn't that the law? The other thing is when people say, but isn't that the law? I think it's also important to remember that some laws need to be changed, and the Immigration Act needs to be changed, right? Because the Immigration Act was put in place when Theresa May decided that they needed to create what she calls a hostile environment for so-called illegal migrants. It doesn't mean anything. No one is illegal. Legally, it's not a word. It's not a thing. No one is illegal. That hostile environment means that it's almost impossible for people to work. It's almost impossible for people to rent, go to the doctors, and just live a decent, dignified lives with that new Immigration Act. And I think that that's something that we need to talk about, because it might be legal, what happened in Byron might be legal, it doesn't make it right. So I think it's time that we have those conversations about some of the laws that are going through in this country with this government, and that's something that we need to talk about yesterday. That's all I'm going to say for now.
We're from Lesbian and Gay Support the Migrants, which is inspired by Lesbian and Gay Support the Miners from the 1980s. And I think especially with things like this, when we've had loads of people on Twitter, social media, just coming back to us saying, oh, but these people were illegal, so it's totally okay. And we just come back to them and say, well, so were we not very long ago, so we don't think that's okay. And who the fuck knows who's going to be illegal in 10 years' time, 5 years' time. I mean, we have Theresa May as our Prime Minister. We can definitely not accept that the Tory government are the people deciding who should be tolerated and who shouldn't be tolerated in this country. We think everyone should be tolerated and no one is illegal.
Still legal for cops to kill people of colour and kill people and get away with it. Basically de facto legal. So the argument around the law, we have to make that so strongly that actually we could be illegal, anyone could be made illegal. My family worked here illegally from Poland, and in a few years it might be that millions of EU migrant workers who are here will suddenly find themselves illegal overnight. We have to fight all of it. We have to stick together and say, no one is illegal! No one is illegal! No one is illegal! No one is illegal!
Theresa May, how many burgers did you eat today?
Hey, hey, Theresa May, how many burgers did you eat today?
Hey, hey, Theresa May,
How many burgers did you eat today? I like my burger without papers!
Not only are they not treating their staff with dignity, but shopping their workers that have worked with them for 3 to 4 years. I even heard today that one of the people who have been deported, their partner is pregnant and they never got a chance to say goodbye. We need to be standing up and we need to be united, because I feel that this is not going to be the first of this issue. We have seen changes in our Immigration Act being forced through. The fact that this happened on the 4th of July and changes in the Migration Act came through on the 12th of July, it's stark in its analysis. What were Byron scared of? What had the Home Office said to them to make them shop their workers? Were they scared that their burger chains were going to get shut down for a day? Well, Byron, your burger chains are shut down. we need to be standing up because the changes in the Migration Act are turning our burger bars, turning our educators, and turning our landlords into border control. I know it's typical of the Conservative Party to outsource their work, but outsourcing it onto the shoulders of citizens in the UK is turning us against each other. Divide and rule politics should not be allowed in the UK, and in United we must stand against this legislation, stand against changes in the Home Office, and stand against Theresa May's as Prime Minister and the policy that she'll be forcing through that are going to make migrants' lives hell, especially post-Brexit.
From Women for Justice by any means necessary. And we know that this is a fight against the racist scapegoating of immigrants. What Byron management did, a racist act against their workers. This is what it is. It's racism. And it's done to divide the workers. They did this meeting and they called all the people inside and they put them through this like abuse, this racist abuse, because they question every one of them. No matter if they had paper, if not, what they did, it was criminalizing all of them. We are fighting. We are fighting against the racist scapegoating of immigrants. We are fighting as immigrants, as asylum seekers, as refugees, and we want to build a movement. We are building a movement that is based on the power of the oppressed, and we think that we can win. This is the only way. The only way that we have, because these attacks from the government, from the Home Office, from Theresa May, is telling all of us that immigrants are fighters. That's why they are attacking us. And they use racism. They use this divide and tool to divide our communities. And what we need to do as a response is building this movement, is building leadership of immigrants, of asylum seekers, of refugees. They have been coming so far here for freedom. They are working or they are still seeking in this process, the racist process of like seeking asylum. They are seeking freedom. We need to unite, we need to go in the communities, and this is why we are organizing community. We know that immigrants in our communities are the only one that we need to have them on our side, and they're going to be the one leading the fight because they are the most affected by these policies. And they are the most powerful. They are the one fighting. They are fighting in detention centers, which is where the workers have been deported, have been like taken in handcuffs from like a place where they're working just few hours before. They were working in a place and they put in handcuffs and taken into detention centers. We need to fight. We need to fight to close. We need to fight to shut down those detention centers, as there are like people inside and women inside Yaswo. They are like leading the struggle to shut those places down, speaking the plain truth about racism, about those centers of abuse. And we know that all the things that the Home Office is planning to do, like raids in our communities, raids in our working places, raids in hospitals, raids where they can get other people to comply with these racist laws. We need to build our side. No corporation. We need to build those like, the strengths on our side. And we know that we can lead. We are leading the shutdown of detention center. We can lead in the community to say no to the racist immigration bill, to say no corporation with those laws, and shut down detention center. And this is a fight. We're here to fight today. Our fellow ones, they were detained and deported. That's so unfair. We should make them feel they have hope, because I'm sure they've lost hope right now. We should fight with them, give them hope, and tell them that there's still way. We should fight with the immigrants. These things should stop. It should
I'm just going to speak on behalf of myself, okay? I came as a Bolivian national to the UK. Now, let me tell you, it is almost impossible to obtain visas in the UK. It is very, very hard. The process is exhaustive and only, I have to say you most of the time, denigrating. You have to prove so much to stay in this country, let alone the cost, because the costs always go higher and higher and higher. It's almost impossible to apply for visas in the UK. Now, actually, and also to get to British nationality is expensive. For me and my kids, I have to save for 6 or 8 months to apply for the passport. Anyway, let alone, I'm in a better position now, but I can't forget the people were behind La Calle started here in the UK. It's wrong. The employer, and I'm not here to name, but the employer had a choice. The choice was to say, listen, I know that you're working wrong. Let me help you. You want to work. These employers found their way to say, listen, I cannot work in the UK, but I still want to contribute to the system. They found their ways to do it. So what did they have to do? The employer had a choice, but the choice was to say, no, you're out, and I'm going to deport you without giving you the choice to stand a fair trial against human rights. People weren't given the choice, and that's wrong. So that's why I'm here today, right? What bothers me the most, really bothers me the most as any human being is, hold on a minute, you had the choice. That's what upsets me the most. And that's why I'm here today, because I want them to know that it's not right. You had the choice to sit down and say, listen, you showed me for years that you want to work with this organization. You're committed, you want to do it. Let me help you give you a work visa. Wasn't it cheaper to give them a work contract? Was it not? Why did you choose to deport them? Because you wanted to save a fine. It was cheaper to get them a contract than deporting them. Now you ruined many lives, because people come here not just to go and buy the latest gadgets, they support their families. They support the families and they send money back home. Since I come here, thanks to the work that I've done in here, I've sent my brothers to university back home. Now they're lawyers and the other one is an engineer, civil engineer. I could have not done it. I could not have done it if I hadn't worked really hard and paid every tax I had to pay in here. Right? So these people have done exactly the same. And let me tell you one more thing that bothers me the most. People like myself had to immigrate because we were not given chances back home. Why? Because many places in Europe, although I'm grateful for the things I've done here, they came and exploited my country. Hold on a minute. It's very good that you remember and you come and deport people, but remember why we're here in the first place. Because we were left with nothing. Many of our countries were left with nothing. Our women were raped, our communities were exploited, national resources were taken away, and we were left with very poor communities, entire communities. Let me tell you, I'm from Bolivia. The Spanish Empire came and destroyed cities, entire cities, enslaved us, and etc. That was 100 years ago. But there are ripple effects, because it left communities with no access to natural resources. So we had to find our way. We had to leave. Do you think I had a choice and said, I want to leave my son for 2 years and come here and not see him for 2 years? Do you think that was the choice I wanted to make? No. I had to find a way to feed my family, and that's why I had to come here to work. I didn't come to take anyone's job. When people come and say, right, migrants are coming here and they take people's job. Excuse me, there wasn't a queue when I came and looked for a cleaning job. For £2.50 an hour. I saw no one queuing for that. And guess what? After six weeks of work, they told me we cannot pay you as a deposit. That doesn't happen to British, normal workplace. I was exploited. And when I wanted to get my check paid, they said to me, you have to sleep with us so I can give you your check. So we are exploited. We are exploited. But we still want to work and we still want to be part of the community. You see? So we had to be given the chance. You don't want to see illegal immigrants. Allow them to apply for visas. Allow them to work. We want to work. We don't come here to exploit people. We don't come here to take people's jobs. I didn't see any queue when I come and apply for a cleaning job. That's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone.
Profit, unemployment and inflation are not caused by immigration bullshit. Come off it. The enemy is profit. Unemployment and inflation are not caused by immigration bullshit. Come off it. The enemy is profit. Unemployment and inflation are not caused by immigration bullshit.
immigration officers come to your home or your workplace, 1, you do not have to answer any questions. 2, you can leave if you're not under arrest. 3, leaving without speaking to the officers is not a reason to arrest you for an immigration matter. 4, if you're not under arrest, officers can't chase you. And 5, if the officers block the exits or stand in front of you to stop you from leaving, they may be liable for false imprisonment. Very simple. Don't talk, just go. And that is from the Anti-Raids Network.
Speaking on behalf of South Asia Solidarity Group, just to say it's absolutely shocking the way in which workers are treated in this country. It's shocking the way in which migrant workers are treated, and it's shocking the way in which women are treated. And the reason for this is because we've got racist laws, we've got a sexist and racist government, and we have to collectively organise to get rid of them all.
We know that the plan from the government is to utilise more racism, more anti-immigrant bigotry, but we also know detention is the one thing they've been defensive about. They have had to adjust, they've had to withdraw bits of their law, they've had to even shut down some detention centres last year. We can see them all shut down. We can build a movement that can win. Join us on the 10th of September, but get in touch today.
Say Black Lives Matter, we're also talking about the fact that black women are almost three times more likely to be unemployed than black women in this country, that black children are more likely to be permanently excluded from school in this country, that there are racist attacks on the street, and not only since Brexit. Now we know about 57% increase since the results. But it's not new. Racism is not new to this country. This country was built on racism, and that is the conversation that we need to have. So come and join us in London on the 5th. That's one day after the anniversary of Mark Duggan's death 5 years ago. So join us on the 5th at 6:30 in Altab Ali Park.
To say that Polish migrant workers are the majority of new migrant workers in the UK and have also been experiencing quite a lot of prejudice post-Brexit and pre-Brexit, to be honest.
Hi there all, thanks for being here with us today. Like Eva said, we are here on behalf of Polish Party Razem. We are a party who stands for anti-austerity, anti-racism, and we are here to show solidarity with all our deported brothers and sisters who used to work at Byron Hamburgers. This is inhuman behavior and it's shameful. Polish people, like Eva said, are one of the biggest ethnic groups working and living in the United Kingdom. And many of us are employed in the hospitality sector along with all other ethnic groups and nationalities. We often take it for granted that we have a right to live and work in here, but we don't realize that it's a privilege that is not shared by everyone who lives here. In these times of uncertainty, which was definitely escalated by Brexit, we urge all migrants and British people to unite in defense of the migrant rights and boycott Byron Hamburgers and other companies that exploit their workers.
Thank you for your service.
No snitching, essentially. No snitching! No snitching!
No snitching!
Snitches get pickets!
Snitches get pickets!
Snitches get pickets!
Snitches get pickets!
Important that we fight any kind of draconian measures, whether they are the immigration laws, whatever repressive laws. I think it's important we all stick together in a united way and fight them and show our solidarity. So thank you very much from the Unite Community Branch and Ely Momentum. Thank you, comrades.
For the National Shop Stewards Network, we had a lot to do about what's legal and illegal. Low-paid workers who pay their taxes are illegal, yet Philip Green is swanning round the Mediterranean when 11,000 workers have been sacked, got their pensions cut, and someone who raided the pension scheme. But I want to tell you a good story. First of all, Unite hotel workers who won victory for their workers. The last 2 weeks ago, construction workers in Unite went on strike in Foley Refinery outside Southampton because foreign workers were being paid half the rate the UK workers were being paid. Unite went on strike and they won! Those workers are now being paid full pay. Solidarity, comrades!
No justice. United Voices of the World, IWW, South London Salford, London Latinx.